Hello, Matthew Taman here, and thank you so much for taking this course. Before we get started, I just want you to understand that this course is a comprehensive course. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in terms of how Joomla works. If you want to learn how Joomla works, you can pick up my other courses, Joomla 3.0 for absolute beginners or Joomla 3.2. Those courses go through extensive details with everything that you need to know about Joomla. This course is just going to assume that you have a basic understanding of how Joomla works. But if not, you can still, catch on pretty quickly as I walk you through the steps that you need in order to set everything up. So I just want to be clear with you so that as you're going into this, you know exactly what to expect. All right, the first thing you want to do is to log into your cPanel. It should look something like this. As long as you have a control panel from where you can install Joomla, then you're good to go. And since we're using the default Joomla installation and not a premium template, we're going to install it through the cPanel, and it's just a couple clicks. So once you scroll to the bottom here, you have the quick install or the Fantastico Deluxe. I recommend just using the quick install. And once you get here, if you have any other installations, you see them here. But what you want to do is scroll down here and locate Joomla and click on it. And now this here is just telling you the amount of space that's going to be needed to put there. And this is the current Joomla version 3.33, which is the latest one. So you want to click on continue. Okay, now if you're installing Joomla on the main domain, then you don't have to put anything here. But if you're not putting this on the root domain, then you want to create a subdomain or a folder where you want this to go. So for this one, I am actually installing it in a subfolder. I'm just gonna call it newsletter. And then you want to put in an email. And then you click install now. Once the installation is complete, you'll get this message here with the congratulations. So you want to just copy the password because you're going to need it to log in. And then you see where it says the admin here. This is where the Joomla installation is located. So just click on that. And of course you want to put in the username, and I'm going to put in the password I just copied. Okay, so you've successfully, installed Joomla with through the cPanel, and now you just want to click here at the top right-hand corner where it says newsletter to make sure that the site, the front end looks okay. So this is what the front end looks like, and this is what the back end looks like. And then from here, everything looks pretty good. All right, so let's move on to the next lesson. Okay, so we're actually now ready to start, working on the site, and we have to install the component. And we're using a component called Acymailing. It's a really great component to use for newsletters and email marketing. It has all the features plus more, that you need to be able to run a successful email marketing campaign. And I've been using this for, for some years now. So I definitely highly recommended it. And that's why I wanted to create this course to teach you how you can be able to implement this in your business. So you go from an extension manager, you want to go to upload package file. And then you want to grab it from your computer. So I'm just going to click on choose file and then upload and install. Okay, so once you're done, you now have this here that shows you this message here. And it shows you, the different message there at the bottom here. And if, this is not the latest version is 4.8. But this is what you see here. So everything has been successfully installed. So next, we're going to take a look at the different features of this and show you how you can be able to configure it and get everything set up. Once you've successfully installed Joomla, next you want to install another component called JCE Editor, which is right here. And you get this from going to Extension Manager, and then just click on the JCE, and you want to click on Install. Once successful install, you're going to get this message, which lets you know that this has been, added. So to make this the default editor, you go to System, Global Configuration, and you just want to scroll down where it says default editor. Right now it's a tiny MCE. You want to click on the drop down and choose JCE and then save and close. All right, so JCE is now the default editor. Next, we're going to install the component that we're using for this. Okay, so this is the dashboard for the Acymailing. Once you log back here, you notice that you see your users. So in this corner here, this section here is going to list all the users that are on your mailing list. And the statistics, if you've sent out any emails, is going to show you the subject, the date, the emails open, and it gives a lot of, statistics. We're going to be taking a look at the different types of statistics that you can view here. So it's really amazing. But if you look in this corner here, you have the users, the list, the newsletter, the auto newsletter, the campaign templates, and the queue, the statistics, configuration, and update and about. So one of the first things that you want to do is you want to make sure that you configure this properly. And by configuring it properly, you want to, put all the right, information there. So you want to go to configuration, click on it, and from the configuration tab, it has a bunch of stuff here. Now I'm not going to go through each and every single one of these because once again, it's based on the features that you want. There's some things that you may want to disable or some things that you may not want to disable. So the first part that we have is the sender's information. This is all the information that people are going to get. So when you want to send a newsletter, this is where it's going to say from the person's name, whatever name you put here. So I'm just going to lift it as newsletter, and also the address, where it's coming from, and you have a reply to name. If people want to reply, to that newsletter, where do you want it to, what name do you want it to reply to? And also this is the reply to address. And then also if you want to, put in a balanced address here, there are times when, you send out a newsletter and, a person had probably changed their email or, it's a wrong email, whatever it is, you can also, put the balanced address there. For now, you can just leave that blank. And then here's the mail configuration. The default settings right now are okay. So where it says, embed, do you want to embed the images, directly on the email? When you do that, people are not going to have to download an image from your website or load it from website, so they can get it directly from the email. Do you want to embed attachments, send multiple parts? So right now, the default for that is okay. And, once again, I just want to, reiterate that I want you to, get comfortable using this first. Whenever you learn how to use something, you want to get the basics down pat first. You just don't want to start, doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to cover all the core basics that you need. And as you get more comfortable working with it, then you can explore what other features, what they do, and, and you can be able to do that. And then, of course, here you have the queue. Just double check to make sure that the email, is correct. And you can leave that to both automatic and manual. And what pretty much this is, some servers have certain limits that you can't send but so many emails within a period of time. So this default settings right now, they're okay. You would have to contact your hosting company to know exactly how many emails can you send and what are the intervals that you can send those emails. Because not every hosting company is going to allow you to send us 100,000 emails, just with one click, and then suddenly all those are gone. They're going to be sent out in intervals. Sometimes some hosting companies have maybe 500 every whatever their settings are. So you want to make sure that you contact your hosting company. If you have a very large list, with several thousands or even hundreds of thousands, you want to contact your hosting company and check their parameters and see, how the queue process works, because you don't want to come here and then misconfigure it and, people don't get the email or something else happens. So this here is just the default settings for it. Once again, just double check with your hosting company to know what the queue processes are in terms of sending, mass emails. So that's what this section here. And then this here just deals, with the subscription. Again, you can go through this and make sure that whatever you want, to be visible on the front end, you add that there. So this here, this for notifications. Whenever a new user is created, send an email to. So whenever a new user subscribe to your list, do you want them to send an email? If you do, then this is where you can put that email. So every time someone subscribe to your list, all the new emails are going to go in this here. Whatever email address you put there. And then the same one and for these here. So whenever someone unsubscribe, and you can edit the notification email. Okay, now you have the redirection here. You want to redirect after someone, after a subscription. Do you have a particular URL or a particular page that you want to, send people to? Now, I'm going to show you a little bit later with this, but this is really good. Let's say you can use this on a non-Joomla website. So even if it's not a Joomla website, you can integrate this feature on there. So what I normally do is I set up a landing page. Let's say I have a basic HTML page and it's not a Joomla site. So what I would do is I would set up the redirection here. I'll show you how to get the codes to put it in there. But whenever someone subscribe, you can take them to, a different page. This is great if you want to set up a funnel. So you have a landing page, and once they click on subscribe, after that you've gotten their email, it can redirect them to a different page so that they can see whatever you want them to see. And then the same here for the, on subscription. When someone, unsubscribe, someone confirms an email. So that's what this is here. And then for the geolocation, you don't have to worry about that, right now. But once again, you go through this and just, whatever you want from here, you can do that. In other words, if you want to get a notification every time someone subscribed to your list, then you put that here. But if not, you can just, just leave that blank. And what's going to happen in that instance is that once you log in to the dashboard, you're only going to see all the new subscribers there. You're not going to get a notification in terms of who subscribed. And then here, this is the interface. Now, if you know a little bit of CSS, of course, you can configure the module CSS. You can edit it. You can change here some of the divs. You can change the, the padding. You can change some of the colors. So if you have some CSS knowledge, then you can change some of these. There are times that I customize this. Maybe I want to have a different look, different layout and whatnot. I customize these here. But if you don't know what this is, then don't even worry about it. The same thing here so that part deals with the CSS. And then you have the features. Do you want to enable the forward to a friend? Yes, no, yes plus CAPTCHA. Now, when you put the yes plus CAPTCHA, then it's going to utilize the CAPTCHA that's included in the system. And CAPTCHA is great because, it helps to, eliminate some of the spam. And then for the SCF URL, you can put that, do you want it to be a search engine friendly? And then the tracking here, you can also utilize, Google Analytics, which is something that I do. With Google Analytics, it lets you know whenever you send email campaigns, you're able to see, the statistics from, who's looking at it and things like that. And then what menu do you want this to be linked to? Right now, just leave it as that. And then the default editor. Now, you can choose from different options here. If you don't want the Acymailing to utilize the JCE Editor, you can choose the Tiny MCE or whichever one here. But for now, you can just leave the default or pretty much the choice is yours. And then for comments here, you can go through this as different comment options that you have. Do you want people to leave comments? No. JComment. Now, JComments, this are components that you have to install. This are additional components that you have to install if you want to enable that. And the discuss component here, that one, you can go to their website and you can get that information from there. You put your username or your short name here. So I'm just going to leave that as no. And then you have display subject. So as you go through these here for the archive section, you get to pick and choose the features that you want on it. And then of course you have the unsubscribe options here. And then for RSS, if you want to do the RSS, you can put it there, put the description. You know, once, you know, again, this has so many features in it that once you understand the core part of it, then you can expound on it a little bit more. And at the bottom here, do you want to display the brand? What this is going to have at the footer is going to have the company's name with a link to their website. So if you don't want that to show, you just click on no. Or if you want it to show, then you leave it like that. And then this goes on with the security. Do you want to enable the CAPTCHA? Now, when you enable the CAPTCHA, you have to get it from Google. You have to get your security key. And then this is the subscription via the module, which we're going to work on next. Is the height, the width, the number of characters, and then advanced email notification verification. And right here it just talks about the different type of files that you can use or that, you know, that's allowed. And this is where everything, the folder for where images and media is going to be uploaded to. And then access levels. Now access level, you know, it pretty much just, when you click on each one, you can get to customize this for what you want people to be able to see and what you want them to be able to do. So if you don't want the public to be able to view, then you just uncheck that box. But for now, everything is the standard, you know, because it gives you everything that you need. And as you know, build your list, then you can be able to customize for who you want to see something. There are times when you want just a particular group of users to see something, but not everyone else. So you can allow just that group to be able to see something. Or for example, if you have something for the public that you don't, I'm sorry, if you have something for the registered users that you don't want the public to see, then you can be able to create, you know, something where only the registered users are going to see. And in order for them to see, they would have to log in to your site. And then of course you have the different plugins here. So where it says override Joomla mailing system, just enable that. So now this is going to override and it's going to use this. And then language, you know, of course, Joomla is a multilingual, you know, CMS, so you can install multiple languages. Right now it's just the English version that's working. So this is want to give you a quick overview of everything that you have here. And, you know, once again, as your campaign, you know, grows, then you can be able to configure these, you know, to your liking. In this lesson, we're going to create our first newsletter. So once you're here, you click on the newsletter and you want to click on new. All right, before you start typing anything in, I just want you to notice that there are a few buttons here at the very top. And the first one is a template. You have the option of choosing a template, or you can just start writing, you know, like as is. So when you click on the template button, it's going to give you the option that I covered earlier. So if you want to use one of these, all you have to do is just click on it and it's going to input that in there for you. And then of course you can click the edit here to put in your message, and then of course you can, you know, type in whatever you want to say there. So you can go ahead and experiment with the different template that is offered. But as I mentioned earlier, I like just having just a blank one, unless, you know, I'm doing some type of a promotion, or of course then you want to put different graphics and things like that. But I've noticed that when it comes to people reading their newsletters or email, you know, most people really, you know, they just want quality stuff. So okay, so you have this template here, and then you have the tags. The tags, once again, allow you to put a placeholder So instead of repeatedly doing the same thing over and over, that the placeholder can just take that place. For example, instead of you having to put every single person's name, when you put the placeholder there, it's going to automatically insert their name. So let's start first with the subject. And then the alias, you don't have to put anything there. This is going to automatically convert the title to the alias. And you want to make sure that it's published. So I'm just going to type in hello. Okay, so now let's fill this up with placeholders. So when you say hello, the benefit of a placeholder, as I mentioned, that allows you to add, stuff such as the person's actual name. So you want to click on tags. So you want to go to subscriber, and you can choose here what tag you want to be, but I would recommend you can either choose their first name or you can choose their whole name. So I'm just going to choose their name and then put a comma. So when it reads, it's going to read hello, the person's name. And once again, it's not going to say sub tag and all that stuff on there. So they'll get this, read the information there, thanks. And then you can put at the bottom, if they want to unsubscribe, just put unsubscribe link. All right, so I'll put in click. Let me put in click this link. This link to, now I'm going to add a placeholder here again. So I go to tags, go to subscription, and I'm going to use that unsubscribe link there. So it's going to read click this link to unsubscribe and then put the period. Okay, so now our newsletter creation, the content part, once you're done there, the text version is going to automatically generate it for you. So you want to look at the right hand column here. You have 4 tabs. You have the list, attachment, sender, and metadata. So you want to put in the list. We talked about the list before. You can pick and choose who received this information. So if you have multiple lists, you can choose which group or which list that you want to send this to. So I'm just going to choose the newsletter. Or matter of fact, I just, choose both of them. And also, if you have the same person that's on, both lists, it's only going to send them just one. So they're not going to get 2, multiple emails. So you want to go to attachment. If there are any attachments that you want to add here, you can click choose and you can, attach the file there. So let's go to sender. This is a very important tab because you want to make sure that you put all the right information there. And you want to be consistent with what you're putting. So where it says from name, if you're going to use your website name, you always want to use your website name. If you're going to use your name, you always want to use your name. Whatever from name that you want to use, you want to be consistent, because if you keep using different names, people are going to see that as spam. Sometimes they're going to accidentally delete very important emails from you. So once you put the from name is consistent, then they always know to expect something. Whenever they see your name there, they know it's from you. So I'm just going to put in newsletter. And then from reply to newsletter, and then just put in the same email. And then the metadata, of course, you can fill in the metadata information here, but I'm just going to leave that blank. And also there's the filter section. If you want to refine it, a little bit more, you can use that, this option here. But for now, you don't have to worry about that. So with, create the mailing list, the newsletter, and this replace tag. If you want to replace a tag, this is what that's for. That allows you to, replace your tag. So next, you have several options. You can save and close, or you can just save, or you can preview and send. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on preview send. So when you're on the preview send, it asks you, do you want to send a test to this email? So it's always a good idea, if you want to make sure that everything is shown, correctly, you want to send a test to whatever email that you've associated, and then you can put in a comment here. So when you scroll down here, it just shows you what the email is going to look like. And once again, with the placeholders that were put before, notice how it says hello and it put the person's super user, which is the name, and where it says unsubscribe. This is where they can click, to unsubscribe from the mailing list. And then also this is responsive. So it works great on, different devices. And then it's showing you here that the email will be sent to one user, since there's only one, registered user on the site. So you can do one of two things here. You can send a test, or if you feel pretty confident, you can just go ahead and then just click send, or you can schedule this, which I'm going to show you how to set up all the newsletters in an upcoming video. But just to give you a quick glance, when you click on the schedule, it asks you, you get to choose, do you want to send this, today? Or you can choose whatever date that you want to send it. And you can choose here at so-and-so time, which is great. So if you have multiple emails that you want to send out, you can automate everything. You can create, several newsletters, and then you pick and choose the dates that you want to send those out on. All right, so now for this one, let's go ahead and just do a test. So I'm going to click send a test. So when I open my email, you notice here it has from newsletter. That's the title that was set, and also the subject. So I'm going to go ahead and click and open this. And this is what it looks like, the HTML version. Now let's go back and look at what the text version looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like here without the HTML on there. So this is the it says hello, of course, the name. This is my first newsletter. Thanks, Matthew, and then the unsubscribe button here. So what's going to happen is that if I click this unsubscribe button, it's going to unsubscribe from the list. So let's click on this. Now it brings you here. It asks you hello with the person's name. We're sorry that you're no longer interested in our newsletter. And then they ask you, what are your reasons? And then you get to choose whatever you choose here, and then put in the reason why, and the reasons, just as to why you're, subscribing from this list. So let me see here. I'm just going to check here, and then just put in, gotta go, and then hit the unsubscribe button. And then here it says, you're no longer subscribed to the mailing list there. So now that user, has been successfully unsubscribed from that list. Now the reason why we didn't get that other message we created is because we didn't write anything for that list, and it's showing this message here instead of the one that we created. So let's go to the list so I can show you why. Okay, if you notice here, this one where it says unsubscribe message, it says no unsubscribe message. So it's just going to use the system default settings for the message. And then where it says new welcome message, right now there are no welcome messages that has been set. Unlike the other one, where it's this new list, we have this message here. So you have the option of just using the system default, or you can create a custom message, for the unsubscription message and also for the welcome message. So that's how you create and send your email. In this lesson, I want to show you how to set a campaign. So you go to newsletters, campaign, and then you click on new. Now you can run, multiple campaigns to multiple lists. So as you see where it says start the campaign, you can start the campaign whenever the users subscribe. You can start it, the next Monday after the users subscribe. And I'm sure that you've subscribed to several lists, and then a few days later you get an email from them, or a week later you get an email. All that is just, a campaign that they've set. So you can use the same thing too, that when users subscribe to your list, you can set it here for the next Monday, the next Tuesday, all the way to Sunday. So that way, instead of you going back to remember every time that a new person joins to email them, you can create a campaign that handles that for you. And you can choose individual lists, or you can choose all of the lists that you currently have. You can choose one or whatever list that you have. So that's the flexibility that you have with this. So you can put this my first campaign or welcome campaign, and you can decide to send this, the first Monday after their subscription, and you put in your information here. And you can still use the tags, as mentioned before. And then you just click save and close. So what's going to happen is that whenever someone subscribes, they are going to get this email. In this lesson, I want to show you how to set your newsletters on autopilot. So you go to newsletter, auto newsletter. Now this is great because if you don't want to keep writing newsletter every time just to send it, you can create multiple newsletters and then just put in autopilot. So you click on new, and then notice that the tabs at the very top here, they're still the same as when you're creating a newsletter, because you're using similar features here. So you want to put in your subject, autopilot newsletter, and then you want to make sure that it's set to publish. And then you can set here, when is the next generate date? When do you want this to be generated next? And then also you can set the frequency here, as soon as possible. Do you want it to be on when you click on that, it shows you on the first of, every Monday, on the first Monday, the second, third, or the last Monday of whatever month you set the month here. And then, or you can choose every, 0 hours, so every hour, every day, week, and months. So this is another great thing, is that you can be able to pick and choose when you want to send your newsletter, so you don't have to wait every single time just to write one and send it. And then you can also generate mode. Do you want to send the generated newsletter, or do you want to wait for the confirmation before sending it? Do you want the person to confirm their subscription first, or do you just want to send it? So the same way that you used to create an email, the newsletter, you just, type your stuff in here, and then you can use a template, choose one of these, or you can use a tag. There's different tags that you can use, and you can save and close, save. And then to the right section here, once again, do you want this newsletter to be sent out just for the people that are subscribed to the newsletter list, the new list, or whatever list that you've created? So you can create, set in an autopilot to send it out to, to multiple newsletter lists. And then if you have an attachment, the sender information, I just want to emphasize again, you have to make sure that you put in the sender's information and be consistent with whatever you put in. You don't want to put in one thing one day, one thing another. So if you're creating this autopilot newsletter, you can put in a consistent name for it. If you create another autopilot and you want to create a name for that one, but whatever name that you choose, just be consistent. If you want to use your website name for everything, use your website name. If you want to use your name, use your name so that people can remember that. And then of course you put in the from, reply to, and then the metadata stuff there. So what's going to happen is, based on the settings that you have here, the system is going to automatically, process that for you. So whatever settings you have here, make sure you can always come back to edit it. but the system is always going to process, whatever you tell it to do here.